I'm Lotta Backlund. Welcome to the live stream from Nordic Business Forum in Jyväskylä in Finland. A bunch of really great people have gathered here, the best minds of not only Finland, but the entire world. Both quality-wise and quantity-wise have gathered. We'll be live streaming all press conferences from this room of all the speakers. So please check the updated schedules online on this website. And you can also join into the conversation by taking part on Facebook or on Twitter with the hashtag NBForum2013. The tweets and your posts will actually show up on the moderator's screens, so you can even ask questions even though you're not in the room. And now for a special treat, we have an exclusive Nordic Business Forum interview with Jack Welch. Jack Welch is, of course, the legendary business executive who turned General Electric into the most valuable company at the time. He's also a prolific author and columnist and has even launched his own MBA program. Welcome, Jack Welch.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
You've had a long day. You've just been sitting in the auditorium for about 90 minutes discussing a lot of things. And you do these kind of business seminars for all the time, right? So how has your experience so far been?
Well, we've had a very good audience here. Very attentive, great questions from the crowd. And Henke, who did the Q&A, was about as good as you get in that job. So it made my job very easy.
It was really fun for the audience as well. You're a bit of a comedian even. You had the audience going.
I wouldn't classify myself in that category. I had a good time.
You talk a lot about bureaucracy, so I thought we could touch upon that as well. You're an anti-bureaucracy frontier, if you will.
Well, I've been there all my life. I feel very strongly that you want to unleash the people in your organization. And every time you put a layer in, you put a filter, the message that doesn't come across as clear as you'd like, and you stifle them. So my job, the job of any leader at any level, is to unleash that team, get them engaged, get them energized, get them going, show them where we're going, why we're going there, what's in it for them, and then develop how we get there.
Bureaucracy is something that kind of sneaks up on you, especially if you're growing. How do you manage that? How do you keep that at bay?
Well, it's a battle every day. Everyone wants to sneak another title in there, whether they be manager, director, or something else. Oftentimes in lieu of pay, they'll bring them in. So titles are troublesome. Every time you get a large group, it's always control. My view is the broader the span of control, the less meddling goes on, and people have a chance to create and flourish.
You need to be quite confident as a manager to be able to pull that off. Do you think so?
Well, self-confidence is a key part of every manager that's any good. If you don't have the self-confidence to give people their heads and their freedom, you won't get from them their maximum output. So it's a self-defeating proposition. You put controls on, you manage every step of the way, you're a loser.
Well, this is a bit of a self-help kind of question, but as a manager, how do you kind of keep up that confidence? Do you have any tricks or methods?
Well, look, this is a series of incremental steps. You try something, it works. When it works, you feel like trying a bigger one the next time, and it keeps going. Then the trick comes when it doesn't work and you fall off the horse. The challenge for you is, how well do you get back on that horse? Or do you sit and sulk? Or do you fall back? So you'll get tested along the way, but every incremental step you make that works builds your self-confidence.
Have you had any kind of like aha moments in your career where you kind of thought like right now is how I like that you especially got that you have to?
Well, I've been knocked off the horse a few times. I've made acquisitions that didn't work. I blew up a factory early in my career. So a number of things have happened. But I'm the only son of an Irish mother, and I have a speech impediment. And she told me day one, that the reason I stuttered was because my brain was so fast, my tongue couldn't keep up with it. And fortunately for me, I believed her.
You actually talked earlier on that you should treat your employees the same way you treat your children, in terms of instilling confidence.
Well, you want to try to. You want to try desperately to care for them, to build them, to give them the courage to do things. I mean, you will be rewarded tenfold for giving people. Look, the idea that somebody can run a company like GE, I don't know how to build a jet engine. I don't know how to build a medical scanner. I don't know how to write a comedy. But I did know how to get people who did know how to do that and have them grow and flourish and have people below them do that. You grow in the reflected glory of their excellent work. So you're the beneficiary of all this.
Is that the most important thing that leaders should have in their mindset?
Well, I think without question, growing people is the key to success. Building teams is the key to success. Now, if you're Steve Jobs, you might be an inventor. You might be a pure innovator. And that may be your skill set. But you won't go wrong building a great team.
Another thing you've talked about a lot and that you talked about downstairs at the VIP pre-seminar is also candor, and about how that is one of the steps toward winning. Could you explain what you mean by that?
I mean that you let, for example, as a manager, your people should never come to work wondering where they stand. For example, in your job today, do you know what your boss thinks of you? Do you know what your career is going to be? Do you wonder what's going to happen? Or do you know pretty much, if I do this, this will happen. If I do that, this will happen. If I excel, I'll be surprised and get a big promotion over here because they think a lot of me. I know where I stand. Candor with employees is that. Candor is also a two-way street where employees will tell you what you're not doing right, what you can do to improve. They'll also bring up issues in the company to make it more productive and better. So opening up that thing, having the self-confidence to have candor given to you and you deliver out. And candor isn't rude. It isn't mean. Candor is delivered in a caring way. That's how you build trust. People know where they stand. You know what they think about you.
Right, so it works both ways.
Absolutely.
But you do need quite good communication skills to be able to tread successfully being candid.
Well, what's the alternative? To lie?
True.
I mean, there is no alternative. So you say, I mean, how could you manage by not telling your people things? How could you manage by not getting feedback and learning from them? So the alternative is not very pleasant. Being stuck in your office, not listening to people, not building a team. I don't think that alternative is very attractive.
Not all managers, well, not all employees are very good at getting feedback. Is there advice you could give on that?
Giving or getting?
Well, both, really.
Well, I'd say frequent and informal. For example, I would take a sheet of paper, and on one side I'd write, here's what I like about what you're doing, and here's what you can do to improve on the other side. I'd do that twice a year. I'd never give a raise without doing that. So I always had the people in front of me. I can take, you've got to be able to get punched in the nose in an audience and take it. Like, hey, Jack, you don't know what's going on over there. You better get your head on straight on this and take it. So you got to demonstrate you can take it as well as give it out. But give it out gives the wrong impression. You're doing a service to letting people know how they can improve. To leave them in the dark is cruel.
This seminar, I know for a lot of people, is also about networking and not just kind of picking really interesting people's brains. I'm a bit of a nerd, and we kind of like intellectual exercises where we do this fantasy dinner party where you could choose anyone, living or dead, 3 people you could invite to dinner. Who would you have at your dinner party?
My wife.
But, well, she could probably come anyway.
Her friends.
Okay, well, they could come.
Kids. I don't particularly want to invite somebody because they're a name or something. I want to invite people I like.
Okay. Your wife is actually here as well, and she's going to be speaking at the seminar. She talks about her method 10-10-10 too. For one thing, combining business and family or work-life balance. How is your work-life balance?
I don't like the word balance. I don't think there's such a thing as balance. There are work-life choices. So if you choose this, it has consequences. If you choose that, it has consequences. All these things have consequences. For example, one time it might be all work and no play. I love to play, so sometimes it's all play and no work. But each one has a consequence. So people make choices. I'm often asked in crowds about work-life balance. And everything along the career route is a choice. You might choose to work for a certain company. It has consequences. You might want to stay close to home. It has consequences. You might not want to work the night shift. It has consequences. You might want the night shift. It has consequences. You're not there when the kids come home from school, whatever. So all these things are choices. And the idea of this perfect world where I work so much, let me get the calculator out, it's 49.7%, and I'm home 50.3%. Now that next week it might be silly talk. Choices and consequences.
I have one last question. You've achieved so much. What is it that Jack Welch still dreams about?
Living a long time.
Thank you so much for your time, and welcome to Finland.
Thanks a lot. Nice to be with you. Okay.